Okay, let's look at this problem here. How much 89 octane gas and how much 94 octane gas are needed to produce 1,000 gallons of 91 octane gas? Okay, we're going to assume that the octane rating of a gasoline indicates that it has the same anti-knock qualities as a standard fuel made of heptane and isooctane. The octane rating is the percentage of isooctane in the standard fuel. Now this is just one of several possible ways of determining octane ratings, but for our purposes we're just going to say that the octane rating is the percentage of isooctane in the standard fuel. So let's set this up here. And what I like to do is I like to actually make a little table. So we're going to talk about the type of fuel. And so when I'm doing a table, these are going to be my headers, my first row. Let's see what we're mixing here. We're mixing an 89 and a 94 to get a 91. Okay, since it's a percentage, we're going to want to know the quantity of octane. So we're going to talk about the quantity here, and then the percent isooctane. And basically, quantity times percent gives you a concentration. There's probably a hyphen in there. Okay. And then the amount of actual isooctane, which is the percentage. This is a concentration. So remember, we're going to get our equation from actually looking at the amounts of isooctane. So the percentages are just, for example, 89 octane fuel is 89% isooctane. We're going with the definition that the percentage of isooctane determines the octane rating. So an 89 octane is 89% isooctane. So that has 0.89. You always use decimals here instead of percentages. So mixing with a 0.94 to get a 0.91. Okay, now let's look up here. Let's see what's going on. It says, how much 89 octane? So we're going to let X be the amount of 89 octane. The quantity. The actual quantity of the 89 octane fuel. And 89% of that quantity is isooctane. So the amount of isooctane in there is 0.89 times the quantity of 89 octane fuel, 0.89 times X. 89% of X is isooctane. And then how much 94 octane? Oh, we don't know how much 94 octane either, but we do know that we're going to produce 1,000 gallons of 91 octane. So 91% of 1,000 will be how much isooctane is produced in our mixture, in our 91 octane fuel. What goes in that other box right there? Well, if we're mixing X, gallons, it's going to be measured in gallons. Now, X gallons of 89 octane with 94 octane to produce 1,000, this has to be 1,000 minus X. It's the other missing part. So again, the amount of isooctane is the percent isooctane, so 94%, 0.94 of that 1,000 minus X quantity is isooctane. Now, we are taking the 89 octane fuel in gallons and mixing it with the 94 octane fuel in gallons. to get 1,000 gallons of 91 octane fuel. So we are adding these together. We are combining these two to get a 91 octane fuel. So we can write that as an equation now. So we're taking the 0.89x. So that amount of isooctane is being added to 0.94 times 1,000 minus x to that amount of isooctane, and it's going to produce 91% of 1,000 gallons isooctane. So we're actually comparing the concentration of isooctane here. Two concentrations are being added together to produce one concentration of isooctane. Okay, so let's go ahead and work this out here. Let's keep the decimals here, 0.89x plus, now we have to distribute 0.94 times 1,000, that just means move the decimal over 3 places, minus 0.94x. 0.91 times 1,000 just means move the decimal over 3 places, so 910. 0.89x minus 0.94x. We need to figure out what that is. So 0.94 minus 0.89. I think that's 0.05, but it's going to be negative. So negative 0.05x plus 940 equals 910. Now we have to subtract 940 from both sides. So we got to figure out what 910 minus 940, it's going to be a negative 30. Now we're going to divide both sides by negative 0.05. That's going to be positive. These will cancel out. So basically we're going to get 30 divided by 0.05. Now one way to do this, if you don't have a calculator handy, is you can move this decimal over twice. So that means you have to move that over twice. So it's really 3,000 divided by 5. So let's go and figure out what that is. So that's just going to be 600. So x is 600. So that means we're going to need 600 gallons of 89 octane. Now we got to figure out how much 94 octane. Well, it's 1,000 minus x. So 1,000 minus 600 is 400. So 400 gallons of 94 octane. So we have to mix 600 gallons of 89 octane with 400 gallons of 94 octane to produce 1,000 gallons of 91 octane.